it's not really the same as like smoking weed or drinking, because like it's so addictive. Like you can experiment a little bit and then you're addicted to it, and then people die. And
yeah. How did it start for you?
Well, for me, I'm 26, so I probably didn't start using prescription drugs until I was like 20. And it kind of started with experimentation in college, and then once I started experimenting with prescription drugs, that was pretty much all I wanted to do. I didn't want to drink, I didn't want to, use any other type of substance. Like, I just wanted prescription painkillers all the time. And then what happened was, my boyfriend at the time, we saw in Dr. Phil that they had these doctors in Florida where you could just go and they would prescribe you like a massive amount of painkillers even though you didn't really need them. Like, it was kind of like they had a loophole down there, something that made it really easy to get prescription drugs. So he went down there and it actually worked. I didn't really think it was going to, and then, we started going down to Florida once a month to get prescription painkillers. For a long time, while we were going down to Florida and getting these prescriptions, I could justify to myself, like, oh, this isn't that bad, I'm still going to work, like, I haven't stolen anything, like, I knew I was addicted, but I would, use excuses like that, like, well, I have a job, we have money, I have an apartment, I have a car. So I would use all that to justify what I was doing. But then what happened is the money kind of ran out. They changed the laws in Florida, and we went down a couple of times, came back with nothing. And at that point, like I said, I was very physically addicted, and we knew, like, it was a line I didn't want to cross, but I ended up crossing it anyways. And that's what happens with most people, because prescription drugs and heroin, like, chemically they're pretty much the same thing. Prescription drugs just seem a lot safer, but they're not. They like bind to like receptors in your brain, and they basically like block pain, so you don't feel anything. So instead, if you don't feel anything, then you feel pretty good. Yeah, you like wake up sick, you need to, like, that's all you can think about is drugs. And then if I didn't have any prescription drugs, then that's when I started using heroin. And then once you start using heroin, it's another, it's only a matter of time before you're using it like intravenously, and it's just like I lost everything that I had within like 6 months once I started using heroin.
It's because of the financial strains of it?
Yeah, like financially, and it's just like, I don't know, your like tolerance just goes up, and like that's all you can think about. Like, it changes your brain, and that's all you think about is how you can get more and what you can do to get it. So when I ran out of money and that's all I wanted to do, I started like stealing from the school that I worked at, and eventually I got fired. And then my ex-boyfriend, he robbed a bank, and he gave me the money to put in my purse, and we got caught. And I thought like, oh well, I didn't actually do anything, like they should just arrest him. But it was pretty much like we both did it. Like, drugs, once you start taking them and you become addicted, like the drugs actually change your brain. Like, there's been studies done, when I went to that prescription drug abuse summit in Washington, there was a doctor who did a presentation with mice, and mice are like hardwired to, eat food and water. Like, that's all they care about. And he gave mice food and water, and then he gave them morphine. And then once they started taking the morphine, they literally starved to death. Like, and these are mice, like they just died because that's all they wanted to do was eat the morphine, which is the same thing as heroin.
This can happen to anybody, right? You were a teacher, you had a good job, I mean.
Yeah, I definitely think that it can happen to anyone, and I think, that's a stigma that we're trying to change. People think like, oh, this is only in the inner cities, this won't happen, in my house, and and then if it does, it's like, oh no, what do I do? Like, how did this happen? But it's not. It doesn't have to be like that. Like, if it's about, if it does happen to someone's child or someone in high school, or someone like there are ways to help them, and like people can get help, and anybody can become addicted. Like, it doesn't matter what type of addiction doesn't discriminate. Like, it doesn't matter where you've been. How much education you have, what race you are, anybody can become addicted.
What do you tell What do you tell students when you go to talk to schools or something about that?
I feel like students are gonna do what they want to do anyways, but that is what I do say is, listen to the people that are giving you advice, because I felt like when I was in high school, I thought I was like smarter, and I was like, I get good grades and I can go out and drink, like I can do whatever I want, it's not going to affect me. Like, people came and talked to us about drugs and I just didn't care. I was like, I'm going to do whatever I want, I'm smart, I can beat this, it's not something that's going to happen to me.
Yeah.
I'm in college, and like I got straight A's in high school. Like I was on the honor roll, and and I played the violin. I was like, if you saw me from the outside and you didn't know me and you didn't know like what I was like on a daily basis, I seemed like a model student.
Yeah.
So I would just say, listen, or at least, don't let it go in one ear and out the other. Like maybe process it and think about it for a while, because people that are coming to talk to you about drugs and alcohol, we're here for a reason. It's not just to waste your time.
Starting with, I guess, your legal problems, do you think in a way, did that save your life?
Absolutely. Because I was, like I said, I'm very thick-headed and thought I could outthink everything, and I thought I wasn't willing to stop. Like, nothing short of me dying or going to jail was going to stop what I was doing at that time. Like, my mind was just in such a different place. Like, I didn't care about anyone, didn't care about my family, I didn't care about anything, any of all that stuff that I had, I sold, I didn't care. Like, and I was like, oh, well, sure, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Why don't you go and see if you can walk into that bank? Like, I was arrested and I did detox in jail. I was in jail for about 2 weeks. While I was in jail, like, I wanted to kill myself, and I was very, very hopeless. And I made a decision while I was in there that if I did ever get out and if I got another chance, like once the drugs were out of my system and I could finally think clearly, like this is what I was thinking, that if I ever got another chance, I would listen and do whatever people told me to do so that, I wouldn't be in this predicament again, because I really didn't like being in jail. It's not a fun place. And, I couldn't see myself, like, I knew that what I was doing then, if I continued to do that, like, that was all I was going to see. It was jail or I was going to be dead. So if I wanted to live, I was going to have to figure out how to live without drugs.
Has that been a constant struggle for you? Did you relapse and go back to rehab, or how has it been for you since
I've
then?
been very fortunate, and I have not relapsed since I've been arrested. So I have almost 2 years, like, clean off drugs. But, if someone does relapse, like, it's not the end of the world, like, because I feel like sometimes people feel really defeated, if they go try to get help, and then, like Wayne's son, and, it's a constant struggle. And it was, it gets easier every day, and, like, I don't think about drugs on a daily basis anymore, but, when I was first, the court, what happened was, my lawyer got them to reduce my bond so that I was, like, allowed to leave jail on the condition that I attend rehab. And if I were to have left that rehab facility, I would have gone straight back to jail. So that was a pretty big deterrent not to leave there. And so once I got there, like I said, I did really want to do good at my second chance that I was being given, and I worked really hard to stay in recovery, and I try to help other people, and I worked really hard to get my life back together the best that I could. A lot of people think, like, once you go down that path, they have a hard time coming back and, like, seeing me and seeing that I've accomplished. Because I don't have, like, it's not fantastic, but, I have, I'm going back to school, I have a job, I have some stuff again, on TV.
I have TV again. That's great. Well, tell us, what do you do now? You go back to school for what? Where are you working? What type of things are you doing to get going again?
I'm in graduate school. I'd prefer not to say where.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm in graduate school actually for counseling. I'm a waitress at King's.
Just,
but,
getting back on your feet again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I miss teaching, but,
Counseling's fair.
That's what I
think
said.
That's very similar, right?
Kind of close to that, and I might be able to do that.
In a way, you're educating people. You are educating people, and you're helping people. So, what age level had you taught before?
High school. I taught high school chemistry. Yeah.
Did you? Okay. So yeah, you know about chemistry then. Huh?
Yeah. It'd be hard to recover from any type of addiction and want to stop taking drugs when you're blaming everyone else for your problems. But I did fully accept, I did this to myself. I didn't blame the guy that I was with. I didn't blame, it's not my parents' fault. My mom felt like it was her fault, but it's absolutely not. Like, I came from a great family. I had everything that, any privileged child should have. I don't even have any brothers or sisters. I'm an only child. And, I felt like my parents did a great job raising me, and I just chose to go down this path. So it was really important that I took responsibility for what happened, and once I did that, then I was able to move forward from it.
Do you remember why you did it? Did you remember that first time you tried like prescription medication?
I was just like really kind of like, I'll try anything like twice. Like, even if I don't like it the first time, I'll try it again. Like, that was just, when I was 17, I got a DUI. Like, that's not normal.
Yes, well, probably not. I mean, it happens. But...
I think, I don't know, like, there's different, if you read different books, there's different models of how people become addicted, like whether it's all biological or environmental, or if someone's just like destined to be like an alcoholic or addict, or if it's their environment that changes them. And I'm sure it's a little bit of both, but I think like just from a very young age, from whenever I was like 15, I was very not scared of anything, and I should have been. I was just willing to try anything.